table. There'll be chairs over there for the public and everything, but we'll just have it set up a little differently, just use a smaller room. Plus, it makes it easier for everyone.
Any chance of a parent being able to sit at the table, or somebody that represents parents, somebody that's in the trenches?
Generally, no, because that's not what we're trying to do. I understand what you're talking about, but we're not like a real committee. This kind
It's
of
so one-sided here.
Seth and Judge Foster, who are normally here, they're parent representation.
She's talking about like self-represented, somebody for the self-represented.
I'm talking about being in the trenches and knowing what the parents are going through and the kids and addressing things that have not been addressed here at all.
And that's why I say this is a limited thing. We're only really looking at how the disclosure works. So if the parent said, look, here's where I'm having a problem with the disclosure, I would happily hear that, not from a whole bunch of people, but let's talk about what that is. But the other issues, it's just not, that's really for the juvenile committee to talk with them about. Because we're just really focused on this one thing in the LSC. I got to get this disclosure. So if that helps understand how I have to.
I get what you're saying. But there's disclosure issues that have not been addressed here. And, for example, all the cases where the children were taken with no disclosure, that's unlawful. You know, like Judge Welty stated, DCS has been forcing his judges to ignore the laws.
Well,
so where does that go?
I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth on that, but what I will say is that is beyond what we're doing here, because that is, do those parents decide there's someone who will actually 1, 2, 3?
Sure.
And I don't have an answer, and I couldn't answer that question here, even if we discussed it.
Right.
I think that's really something that they need to talk and probably talk
with the civil rights attorney.
Not trying to put it off, but that's talking about what
Sure.
we do about the past. I'm trying to deal with what do we do, one, about the present cases and cases.
Right.
So I just can't do the backwards.
But the thing is, what hasn't been addressed for years has affected parents, children. It's not like you're seizing cars out of a driveway. So what is moving ahead to help these parents and children that have been wronged for all these years?
That's why I say to the extent they were wronged, I'm not going to try and say that. I'm just going to say to the extent. That's something that they need to look at how they would deal with it, because I can't correct it. I can't go back and undo all that.
Right.
That's why I can work with the president. The appeals that are active in front of me, I can work with the disclosure. It can happen. The backward look is something they need to figure out, whether there's something they should or could do. Because I can't do it on my own. I can't reopen all the appeals that have gone through this.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
So unfortunately, it's just not the right place. But I would say, it's certainly something, and that's why we're talking about how do we make sure this never happens again. Annual reviews, regular reviews, to ensure that the disclosure never falls into this place again. But I can't.
Right.
I just can't do that for the people who have something.
Well, and the other question is that, the old CEO, Frank Sweeney, he's this computer programming guru. Where has he been through this whole process?
No idea.
Right? I mean, he was. He's been away.
He's the overall supervisor. He's been involved.
Yes. Yeah, he has been involved. That's one of the
Okay.
So yeah, I gotta
right.
save my life. I got a pretty narrow one. But I think we're being
Yeah.
effective with what I can do.
I just think that parents and children need to be more acknowledged here.
The one thing I will say.
Instead of all the hard work for, DCS, when this is what they should have been doing in the first place, parents and children need to be recognized. And, even a simple apology might go a long way. But
Again,
legally, I don't know if they can do that.
So one thing I will say is if there's an issue with regard to the disclosure that's coming out, to getting the disclosure, I'm not going to deal with the case, but a systemic problem, this isn't happening, right? That's something that I would want. So if there's something happening today, the disclosure is going out, but there's a glitch somewhere that is happening to self-representing parents. That's something, if there's a self-representing parent who says, here's what I can tell you is the issue. Not again deciding a case, but there's all of us have looked at this and it keeps happening to all of us. That would be something I would suggest you reach out to this way, and just have that dialogue about what it is to try and see what we can do.
If they'd be willing to do that, so would I. Okay.
So I think just because again we're trying to deal with the systemic issues and make sure it works. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're in this room.
1:30.
And this room, and again, depending on how many people are here, we may just use half of it. So it's easier than we just sit around the conference. But there'll be chairs.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So it'll just be in the same.
Okay.
Thank you, folks.